Hello everyone. Today we are starting the resolution of vectors. It's simple and nice topic. The resolution of vector means doing the components of a vector. So in this chapter we will be going through the two-dimensional resolution of a vector as well as the three-dimensional resolution of a vector. As usual, take out your notebook and pen and start making your notes. You will get 2 checkpoints in this video. You may pause at those locations and try those questions for your better conceptual understanding. Answer of all these questions can be verified at the end of this video. So let's begin. Here is the first important point. A vector may be resolved into infinite components. For example, here we can see a force of 2 Newton. Can we break it into 2 equal components of 1 Newton and 1 Newton as shown? Or can we break it into the 4 equal components of 0.5 Newton each? Do you agree? Now can we break it into 8 components or 16 or 16,000 or infinite? Getting my point? So vector may be resolved into infinite components. But for all practical purpose, we will be doing 2 rectangular components in a plane and 3 rectangular components in the 3-dimensional space. It is always convenient for us. The word rectangular component means the component which are perpendicular to each other. You can note down all these things and then we'll go further for the next important point. Now we will learn the rectangular components of a vector in a 2-dimensional space. Suppose this is a vector in the xy plane as shown and we need its rectangular components. Now if you treat these two as the components, are they perpendicular to each other? Correct? So these two red components we can call as the rectangular components. This AY can be shifted here. We have read that in the previous lectures. These 2 vectors are equal vectors. So this length will also be AY. Now I'll be using the triangle law of vector addition to represent the vector A. AX I cap is this vector plus AY j cap is this vector, and by triangle law of vector addition the resultant vector will be the A vector. Now if we look at this thing, the component of a vector can be positive, negative or 0, anything, because if the vector was in some other quadrant then we can have the various possibilities. Now we want to determine the magnitude of the A vector. In order to obtain the magnitude of A vector, we'll be using the Pythagoras theorem. This length is AX and this length is AY and we require that blue length. So the result will be equal to root of AX square plus AY square. Pretty simple. And then we are obtaining the tan theta in this triangle. Tan theta will be equal to what? AY divided by AX. One more important thing. If you take up cos theta in this triangle, then how you will write that? Cos theta means this length divided by this length, and length of this vector we indicate as A. So it gives you the impression that AX is equal to A cos theta. This is also useful in various calculations. Second thing, if you consider sine theta in this triangle, then what you will write? Sine theta in this triangle will be equal to this length divided by this length, means AY divided by A. So AY will be written equal to A sine theta. This is another important result. You can note down all these results. I'm taking few examples. Here is the example number 1. Question is asking you to find the magnitude of the A vector, the angle theta, and the third part, the unit vector along the direction of the A vector. Getting it? Question is pretty simple. I am simplifying everything. First of all, for the magnitude, which is equal to root of ax square plus ay square, you need the magnitude of the x component of vector as well as the y component of the vector. So what you can do, you can represent this as 1 I cap plus 1 j cap. Do you agree? It means the x component and the y component both are having the length 1 only. This can be treated as ax, this can be treated as ay. Do you agree? 1 I cap is a vector along the x-axis like this, having the magnitude 1 and direction is along the I cap. Similarly, 1 j cap is a vector like this, magnitude 1 and the direction is along j cap. So the length of this vector is represented as a. By Pythagoras theorem, easily we can tell that the magnitude of the A vector will be equal to root 2. Done. Solving for the second part, tan theta in this triangle is now very easy. Tan theta means this side divided by this side, ay divided by ax, which is equal to 1 divided by 1. So answer is 1. It means what should be the theta? 45 degree. So this vector is creating an angle of 45 degree with the x-axis as well as an angle of 45 degree with the y-axis. Fine. The last part, the unit vector. We know the formula for the unit vector. A cap is represented as a vector divided by the magnitude of the A vector. So, A vector is already available with us, I cap plus j cap. And what is the magnitude of the A vector? Speak up. This was root 2. Here is the answer of your unit vector. It's pretty simple question. Similar question you will find in the checkpoint. But before that, I'll be taking up few more important points and few solved illustrations. So you can note down the things up to here, then we'll proceed further. Now let's go through few important points. Point number 1, the components of a vector are always a vector. Suppose for this A vector you took two components shown as ax I cap plus ay j cap. So this is also a vector as well as this is also a vector. And the components of a vector may be positive, may be negative, or may be 0 depending upon the cases. Here the vector is in the first quadrant. So the x component is positive as well as the y component is also positive. Suppose instead of this, if you have chosen the vector in the fourth quadrant like this, I am making another diagram for your reference. A vector was like this, and here is the x-axis and here is the y-axis. Now you need two rectangular components of the vector. Then can you tell that which component is positive, which is negative? Correct. In this case, the x component of the vector is positive, but the y component of the vector is negative. Done? Note it down. Now, taking up the second important point, the component of a vector along its perpendicular direction is always 0. Why? If you want to go in the perpendicular direction to the given vector, let's say this is the A vector and the perpendicular direction looks like this. For perpendicular direction, how much will be the angle theta? 90 degree. When you will put here 90 degree, how much will be this component? It will become 0 because cos 90 is 0. So it's pretty simple and easy statement. The component of a vector along its perpendicular direction is always 0. Third important point, the maximum number of rectangular components of a vector in two-dimensional space is 2. What does it mean? This is a vector And for this given vector, how many rectangular components we have in this diagram? Only 2. Getting it? And if we talk of the 3-dimensional space, then maximum number of rectangular components will be 3. Okay, note it down. We'll see it in 3-dimensional resolution of vector. Fourth important point, a vector is independent of the orientation of the axis, but the components of the vector are dependent upon the orientation of the axis. See it. If you flip the coordinate system, if you rotate the coordinate system, if you translate the coordinate system, nothing will happen to this vector. For example, let's say you rotate the coordinate system little bit, then this becomes the x dash and this becomes the y dash. Is anything happening to this A vector? No, magnitude is intact as well as the direction is also unchanged. It means if you translate or rotate or shift the reference frame, the vector will remain unchanged. We will see a good example on this. Now taking up the fifth point, and it's super important. It will be extensively used in the chapter projectile motion and many other chapters. The rectangular component of a vector represents the total effect of that vector along that particular axis, and this effect is independent of the other rectangular components. I'm explaining that. Suppose this is x-axis and this is y-axis, and we have a force here. We name it as F vector. This angle is theta. Now if you compare with this, the magnitude of the x component of the vector fx is equal to f cos theta. Similarly, the y component of this vector will be shown here. We call it fy. And if you compare with this, the magnitude of the y component of the vector is f sine theta. Now, fx represents the effect of this force along the x-axis, and this fx is independent of fy or fz. Getting it? Now we will see the practical applications of the rectangular components in the 2-dimensional space. So let's have few good examples here. Suppose this angle is theta and here we put a mass m. The gravitational force on this mass is mg, and we wish to have the rectangular components of this force. Rectangular component means the components which are perpendicular to each other, and we are working in the 2-dimensional space. So can I show these two as the rectangular components? These green ones, they are perpendicular to each other. Okay. For doing the components, we need the angle. So let's simplify the things. If this angle is theta, this angle is 90 degree, then this red angle, can you think is how much in this triangle? This is 90 degree minus theta. Then this angle here should be how much? It must be theta. Do you agree? I'm repeating it. This is theta, this is 90 degree, and this angle, red one, should be 90 degree minus theta. Then this blue should be theta because this total angle is 90 degree. Okay. Now if you compare the A vector and the x-axis, in between them the angle was theta, then the component along this axis has what magnitude? A cos theta. Similarly, you can imagine this is some axis and the vector is making an angle theta with this axis. So the component along this axis will be what? Mg cos theta. This is the magnitude of the gravitational force along this axis. Fine. The remaining rectangular component we know will be written as mg sine theta. Is it clear? I'm taking another example. Suppose we have a pendulum. This pendulum bob has mass m and the angle is theta. The gravitational force on this pendulum bob is shown as mg. Now again we are doing the rectangular components. So if this angle is theta, this angle must also be theta. This much mathematics you know. Now what I should write here along this axis? Speak up or write in the comment box. The vector and the axis, if the angle is theta, then what is the net effect along that axis? You can write this as mg cos theta. And what should be this remaining component? It should be mg sine theta. Do you agree? Okay. Taking up another example. The same pendulum. Let's say mass m and this pendulum has some tension T here. You will read about the tension in the string in detail in the chapter Newton's laws of motion. This angle with the vertical is given as theta. You want the rectangular components of this tension T. So in two-dimensional space, the rectangular components are shown like this. Do you agree? Now, if this angle is theta, how much should be this angle? It should also be theta. And the T here will have the component T cos theta and this one will be T sin theta. Do you agree? Taking up another example. Suppose this is the inclined plane again, and on this mass the normal is indicated as n. You will read the details about the normal force in the chapter Newton's laws of motion. We want the rectangular components of this normal, how they will look like. In the two-dimensional space, we will have two rectangular components at max. So these will be the rectangular components. Now, we need the angles. For getting the angles, I am using the geometry. This is 90 degree. How much is this angle? It is theta. Okay. And how much is this angle? This total angle is 90 degree. It means the angle here is 90 degree minus theta. Fine. And this angle must be theta. Got it? The same angle I can explain in another way. If you extend this little bit and look at this angle is how much? 90 degree minus theta. And this total angle is 90 degree. Then how much should be this angle? It must be theta. If this angle is theta, how much should be this angle? This should also be theta. Okay, it's simple geometry, nothing else. Anyways, the component of normal along this axis, if normal is making angle theta with this axis, then we know the component here will be n cos theta and that remaining component will be n sin theta. Is it okay? You can pause here and you can practice all these questions yourself for better conceptual understanding. And then I'll be taking up few more examples. Taking up few more examples, you kick a football from here. That football goes over the parabolic trajectory. Suppose the initial velocity of the football is like this. Angle is 45 degree and the magnitude of the velocity is 20 meter per second. we need the components of this velocity. You can pause and you can give it a try. Okay, I'm solving it on board. We will have two rectangular components of this velocity. The effect along the x-axis is indicated as Vx, and the effect along the y-axis is indicated as Vy. What will be Vx? We know the answer. Vx will be V cos 45 degree. And what will be Vy? That also we know. It will be equal to V sin 45 degree. Getting it? So this computation will result 20 into 1 by root 2, and this will also be 20 into 1 by root 2. Since it's the velocity, the unit will be meter per second. I hope you understand this thing. Okay. Taking up the next example. On a point, let's say there is a force of 100 Newton acting like this. And this angle with the x-axis is given as 37 degree. This is x and this is y. Now can you do the rectangular components of this force? Pretty simple. This will be Fx and this will be Fy. How much will be the Fx? Fx will be F cos 37 degree. 100 Newton is getting multiplied with what? 4 by 5. So this answer will be equal to 80 Newton. Do you agree? Similarly, in this example, if I ask you how much is the Fy, what should be your answer? The Fy should be equal to F sin 37. If one rectangular component is cos, then the other rectangular component is sine. We have seen that on the previous screen. And you can simplify this very easily. F is 100 Newton. And how much is sine 37 degree? 3 by 5. So this force will result into 60 Newton. It means the 100 Newton will have an effect of 80 Newton along the x-axis, will have effect of 60 Newton along the y-axis. And how much will be effect along the z-axis? Post your answer in comment box. The effect along the z-axis will be 0, because the component of a vector perpendicular to itself is always 0. The 100 Newton is lying in this plane of the whiteboard and the z-axis is perpendicular to the whiteboard. So the component of 100 Newton along the z-axis will be 0. This force will have no effect along the z-axis. Getting it? Let's take another example. Can you do the components of the force? Do it quick. We are doing the rectangular components of this vector. One component, this we will call as Fy. I am writing only the magnitude of the components, and this component we will write as Fx. How much will be the Fx? Pretty simple. It will be F cos of 53 degree. And how much will be the Fy? It will be F sine of 53 degree. We can simplify them further. F is given as 10 Newton. How much is cos 53 degree? It is 3 by 5. And this is 10 Newton into 4 by 5. Let us simplify this here. 6 Newton and 8 Newton. Okay. Simple thing. It indicates this 10 Newton force will have an effect of 6 Newton along the negative x-axis, will have an effect of 8 Newton along the negative y-axis, and its effect along the z-axis will be 0. Clear? One more question I would like to ask you. Can you represent this F in the vector form? F vector. It's simple. Magnitude is given, directions are known. F vector will be equal to 6 of minus I cap, because the effect along the x-axis is 6 but in the negative direction, plus the effect along this is 8 Newton but the direction is minus j cap. And since we are talking about the force, the unit must be Newton. Do you agree? This can be again written as F vector is equal to minus 6 I cap minus 8 j cap, and the unit we can write as the Newton. So, if I ask you about the x component of this vector, it is positive or negative or 0? It is negative. If I ask you about the y component of this vector, it is positive or negative or 0? It is also negative. And if I ask you about the z component of this vector, this is 0. There is no z component of this vector. Getting it? Note down these things, then we'll proceed further. Taking up another example, we have an inclined plane as shown here, and there is a box of mass m. On this box, let's say you apply a force of 20 Newton like this. The force is making an angle of 53 degree with the vertical and an angle of 37 degree with the horizontal as shown in the diagram. You need to do the rectangular components of this force. Pause the video here and give it a try. Till then, I'll make up the other question. I hope you are done with your calculations. So if this angle is 53 degree, how much is this component? It will be 20 Newton cos 53 degree. And we can simplify it. 20 Newton into 3 by 5. So this will be equal to 12 Newton. Okay. Solving for this component, it will be 20 Newton sine of 53 degree, which will be equivalent to 20 Newton into 4 by 5, and it is equivalent to 16 Newton. It means this 20 Newton force will have the effect of 12 Newton along the vertical direction, and it will have an effect of 16 Newton along this horizontal direction. Getting it? This is the next question. Here is the hydrogen atom. In the hydrogen atom, there is one proton here as well as one electron, and this proton is being attracted by the electron as well as the electron is being attracted by the proton. Can you tell me the component of this force along the velocity along this blue direction? Post your answer. The answer is 0. Component of a vector perpendicular to itself is always 0. It means this force will have no effect in the tangential direction. Getting it? If I ask you, can this force change this speed? What should be your answer? Think logically and then try to answer. Actually, this force has no effect along this direction. It means this force cannot change the speed. Pretty important thing. We'll be using it extensively in the physics. Note down these things. Then I'll be taking up few numerical questions. Here are two interesting questions. In first question, we know the magnitude of the horizontal component of force. We know this angle, and we need to determine the magnitude of force as well as the magnitude of its vertical component. Okay. In the second question, we know the horizontal component of the displacement as well as the vertical component of the displacement. We need to determine this angle as well as the magnitude of the displacement. You can pause the video here and can give the try. These are simple questions, and then you can match your answers with the board. I am proceeding for the solution. We know one thing, if a force is making angle 30 degree with the x-axis, it means the fx must be given as f cos 30 degree. So this gives you F is equal to 500 by root 3 Newton. Done. For Fy, we know one thing. If this is F and this is Fy, it should be equal to F sin 30. The value of F is available 500 divided by root 3 Newton multiplied with sin 30 is 1 by 2. Okay. So the answer will be equal to 250 Newton divided by root 3. Now solving the second question. Suppose we want the magnitude of the displacement vector. This can be easily obtained using the Pythagoras theorem. If you drop a perpendicular here, then this length is 25 and this length is 60. So this red length D will be equal to what? Root of 25 meters square plus 60 meters square. Do you agree? You can simplify this. The answer will come out to be 65 meter. Done. Then we are taking 10 alpha in this triangle. The 10 alpha in this triangle will be equal to what? This side divided by this side means 60 meter divided by 25 meter. You can cancel it with 5, so remaining data will be 12 by 5. Hence, the alpha will be equal to 10 inverse of 12 by 5. Done? Note it down. We'll be taking up another interesting question then. Here is the next question. We have three vectors as shown on the diagram, and we need to find the magnitude as well as the direction of the resultant vector. It's simple and easy question. You can pause and you can give it a try. I'm solving everything on board. Suppose we name this as A vector, this as B vector, and this as C vector. Then technically we need to determine the A vector plus B vector plus C vector. Do you agree? And this, let's say we are writing as R vector. Okay. According to the polygon law of vector addition, the R vector will start from the tail of the first vector and will terminate at the head of the last vector. It means the R vector will look like this. Do you agree? Why we are using polygon law? Because we have more than two vectors. We are actually adding three vectors, so we are using the polygon law. This R vector will have some angle with the x-axis. That angle, let's say we are writing as alpha. Now, putting up the value of A vector. The A vector has the horizontal component as well as the vertical component. So A vector will be written as 5 meter cos 37 degree of I cap plus 5 meter sin 37 degree of j cap. Do you agree with the A vector? Plus B vector is only along the x-axis, means 3 meter I cap plus C vector. The C vector is only along the y-axis, so you will write this as 2 meter j cap, and this all should be equal to the R vector, the resultant vector. We are simplifying the things further. 5 meter into cos 37 degree. Cos 37 degree is 4 by 5. 5 meter into sin 37 degree. It is 3 by 5 plus 3 meter of I cap plus 2 meter of j cap is equal to R cap. Going further, this 5 and 5 is getting cancelled out. This 5 and 5 is getting cancelled out. Simply you can write this as 7 I cap plus 5 j cap and the unit is meter. Do you agree? This is actually the Rx, the x component of the resultant vector, and this is actually Ry, the y component of the resultant vector. Now the question is asking us the magnitude of the resultant vector. Magnitude of the resultant vector means mod of r vector, root of rx square plus ry square. Both are available here. Root of 7 square plus 5 square, and the unit will be meter. Getting it? You can simplify this. It will come out to be 8.6 meter. Now we need the angle. For getting the angle, focus on the r vector. This r vector is making an angle alpha here. This r vector has two components. The x component of the r vector has the magnitude rx. The y component of the r vector has the magnitude ry. So in this diagram, what will be the tan alpha? It will be equal to ry divided by rx. Both are available. Ry is how much? 5. And how much is rx? 7. So alpha will be equal to tan inverse of 5 by 7. If someone asks you what is the direction of the r vector, then you should report that the r vector is making an angle alpha is equal to tan inverse 5 by 7 with the positive x-axis as shown. Clear? And the magnitude or the length of this r vector is equal to 8.6 meter. Done? Note it down. Then we'll be taking up the next question. Here is the next question. We have three vectors, a vector, b vector and c vector. The direction and the magnitude of each vector is given to us. We need to find the magnitude and direction of a vector plus b vector plus c vector. It's a simple one. As we approached in the previous question, you can do the same thing here. So pause the video here and give it a try, and then you can match your answers with the board. I'm starting the solution here. In this question, we will require the sense of directions. So let's plot it here. This direction we are assuming as north, this we are taking as south, then this is west, and here is the east direction. Along the east direction, the unit vector will be I cap. Along the north direction, the unit vector is j cap. Along the south direction, the unit vector is minus j cap, and along the west direction, it is minus I cap. Okay. Now we need the a vector plus b vector plus c vector. A vector has the magnitude 5 and direction is along east. So can I represent a vector like this? Magnitude 5 and direction is along east. It means here we should write 5 I cap. Do you agree? Magnitude 5 and direction is along east means I cap is the unit vector. For b vector, the magnitude is 5 root 2 and direction is northeast. Let's say this is the b vector. B has a magnitude of 5 root 2. Along the northeast direction, do you remember the unit vector? The first video on the vectors, you have seen that thing. Unit vector here is I cap plus j cap by root 2. If you don't remember, check the first video on the vectors. There you'll get the sense of unit vectors along this direction. So I'm representing the b vector now. B vector now will be written as 5 root 2 and the direction is I cap plus j cap by root 2. Then going for the c vector. The c vector is along north and magnitude is 5. This is c vector. Okay. So this should be written as, speak up, 5 j cap. Here this root 2 and root 2 is getting cancelled out. We are writing it 5 I cap here, 5 I cap here will make it 10 I cap. 5 j cap here, 5 j cap here is 10 j cap. This is the A vector plus B vector plus C vector. And now we can easily obtain the magnitude of this vector. Mod of A vector plus B vector plus C vector will be root of this square plus this square. Okay, so this is 10 root 2. Now we need the direction. For direction, if you check the sense of A vector plus B vector plus C vector, let's say it is making an angle alpha with the east direction. It means the 10 alpha will be equal to what? 10 divided by 10, which is equal to 1. Alpha is equal to 45 degree. Looking at this data, you can say the A vector plus B vector plus C vector is making an angle of 45 degree with the east as well as an angle of 45 degree with north. Okay, note it down. Then we'll be taking up the next question. Here is the next question. We have three vectors, A vector, B vector and C vector, and their net resultant is a null vector. If the magnitude of A vector is given as 5 meter, we need to obtain the magnitude of B vector as well as the magnitude of C vector. Getting the question? You can pause here and give it a try yourself and then match your answer with the board. Okay, I'm starting the solution. The C vector will have a horizontal rectangular component as well as a vertical rectangular component. Do you agree? Its vertical component has a magnitude C cos 45 degree, which is equal to C by root 2. Similarly, the horizontal component of C will have a magnitude C sin 45 degree, that will be also equal to C by root 2. Do you agree? Now, we need the resultant to be zero vector or null vector. It means this effect should nullify the effect of this vector. It clearly indicates that this magnitude and this magnitude of A vector should be equal. It means I should write C by root 2 is equal to the magnitude of A vector, which is 5 meter. So the magnitude of the C vector will be equal to 5 root 2 meter. Pretty simple solution. Okay. Now look here, this magnitude is C by root 2. It should get nullified with the magnitude of the B vector. Then the resultant here is 0. Earlier we made the resultant along y0. So to make the resultant along x0, we should be writing that C by root 2 should be equal to the magnitude of B vector. The value of C is available. 5 root 2 meter divided by root 2 is equal to B. So this gives the magnitude of the B vector as 5 meter. Pretty simple. I hope you all got the correct answers. Good. Note it down. We'll be taking up the next illustration. Here we have a simple and interesting question. Two forces, namely the 4 Newton and 6 Newton, they are acting as shown. And the resultant force is perpendicular to the 4 Newton force. Then you need to find the angle between the 4 Newton and 6 Newton force. Pretty simple one. Okay, I am giving you a quick hint. Use the triangle law of vector addition diagrammatically. You will get the immediate answer. Give it a try. I am solving it on board. We have a force of 4 Newton as shown here. Another force is of 6 Newton as shown here. And the resultant of these forces is perpendicular to the 4 Newton force. That's what we have in the given question. Do you agree with this diagram using the triangle law of vector addition? On the head of 4 Newton, I am placing the tail of the 6 Newton force. Then resultant will start from the tail of the first force and will end at the head of the second force. Okay. Now, we need which angle? The angle between the 4 Newton force and the 6 Newton force. It means technically you can bring the 4 Newton force here and you require this angle theta. That's your target. Now to obtain this angle theta, I am taking the angle here as beta, let's say. How much is cos beta? Pretty simple calculation. Cos beta is the length of this side divided by the length of this side, which is equal to 4 by 6, which is equal to 2 by 3. Now our requirement was the theta. Can we write that theta is pi radian minus beta? So the theta is equal to pi minus cos inverse of 2 by 3. Because from this computation, you can say that beta is equal to cos inverse of 2 by 3. Now, pi minus cos inverse 2 by 3 can be mathematically written as cos inverse of minus 2 by 3. So this result is fine, as well as this result is also fine. You can note down the answer. Here is the next question. We have a vector as shown here, and if we rotate this reference frame by 16 degree anti-clockwise, then we need to represent the vector again. I would like to ask you one question. By rotating the reference frame, what will happen to the A vector? It will remain same or it will get changed? The answer is it will remain same, because the magnitude will remain same as well as direction will remain same. So let's start the solution. It's pretty simple. First of all, we'll obtain this angle. It should be equal to how much? Almost 53 degree. Why? By the triangle law of vector addition you can find it, by Pythagoras theorem you can find it, 3 I cap. So along x-axis this magnitude is 3, 4 j cap, along y-axis this magnitude is 4. So this red resultant vector will have a magnitude of 5 here. Do you agree? And in between 5 and 3 the approximated angle is 53 degree. Okay. Now we are rotating the reference frame by 16 degree anti-clockwise. So after the rotation, let's say this is x dash and we write it as I cap dash, and this is y dash. We write it as j cap dash. Okay. If you have rotated here by 16 degree, then the angle remaining here will be how much? 37 degree. Okay. Now representing the vector in the new reference frame, we will write it as A dash. The A dash will have a component along x dash. That component will be equal to 5 cos 37 degree I cap dash, and the component along y dash axis will be 5 sin 37 degree j cap dash. See, the magnitude of this vector will remain 5 only, magnitude will not get changed. That 5 will have a component along x dash. That component will be 5 cos 37 I dash cap. This magnitude 5 will have a component along y dash. That will be 5 sin 37 j dash cap. You can simplify it further. Cos 37 degree is 4 by 5 I dash cap. Okay. Plus 5 sin 37 degree is 3 by 5. You can simplify it further. 5 is getting cancelled out. So we are left with what? 4 I cap dash plus 3 j cap dash. I told you that vector will remain same, and you can check the magnitude of this vector. When you do root of 4 square plus 3 square, magnitude is again 5. Earlier also the magnitude was 5. So this vector will retain its magnitude as well as its direction. If we are rotating the reference frame, it will not hamper anything with this vector. Just in the new reference frame, the vector will have this representation. Okay. Note it down. A dash vector is actually equal to A vector. Can you do that? Here is the next question. We have the A vector is equal to root 3 I cap plus j cap. If this vector is rotated 15 degree anti-clockwise, then we'll get a new vector. We need to represent that new vector in the terms of I cap and j cap. Unit vector along the x-axis is I cap and unit vector along the y-axis is j cap. Okay. You can pause here and give it a try. I am starting the solution on the board. This A vector is creating what angle with the x-axis? And what is the magnitude of A vector? Can you tell? It's simple actually. Let's say the magnitude of A vector we write as A. The x component has a length of root 3 and the y component has a length of 1. Do you agree? Then we can use here the Pythagoras theorem to obtain the magnitude A, which is equal to root of ax square plus ay square. The answer will come out to be 2. If we assume this angle to be theta, then we can obtain tan theta from this right angle triangle. Tan theta will be equal to 1 by root 3. It means the theta is equal to 30 degree. Is it okay for you? I am writing this angle theta is equal to 30 degree. Now we are rotating this vector as given in the question by 15 degree. If we rotate it by 15 degree anti-clockwise, what will happen to the magnitude of vector? Will it remain same or will it get changed? Magnitude will yet remain same. Only the direction is getting changed. Getting my point? I'll call this as the B vector, let's say. So now representing the B vector, which has magnitude 2. So the x component of the B vector will be written as 2 cos 45 degree of I cap. Do you agree? Magnitude of B vector is same as the magnitude of A vector, and it's making an angle of 45 degree with the x-axis. The y component of the B vector will be written as 2 sine 45 degree of j cap. Let's simplify it. 2 into 1 by root 2 of I cap plus 2 into 1 by root 2 of j cap. So the answer here is root 2 I cap plus root 2 j cap. This is the B vector. A vector and B vector are not equal. They have the different directions. But the magnitude of A vector is equal to the magnitude of B vector. I hope you understand this. Now you will be getting a checkpoint. You should pause there and you should try to solve all those questions for the better conceptual understanding. Okay? Note it down. Here is the last topic of this video, the rectangular components of a vector in three-dimensional space. We know that in 3D, we can have maximum 3 rectangular components of a given vector. So I'm doing the derivations. This A vector can be represented as a summation of 2 vectors, ON vector and the NP vector. Do you agree? I mean to write that A vector is equal to ON vector plus NP vector. Okay. The ON vector is in XY plane. You can see the diagram here. So this ON vector can be written as the summation of OM vector plus OQ vector. I am writing this value of ON vector, and we have here the NP vector. So technically this A vector has some effect along the x-axis, some effect along the y-axis, and some effect along the z-axis. So in simple terms, if we want to represent the A vector, we should write this as AX I cap plus AY j cap plus AZ k cap. Do you agree? This is the x component, this is the y component, and this is the z component of the vector. Now, A vector has some angle alpha with the x-axis, some angle beta with the y-axis, and some angle gamma with the z-axis. Then we know that from the 2D resolution that AX will be written as A cos alpha, AY will be written as A cos beta, and AZ will be written as A cos of gamma. Okay. From these values, we can deduce something pretty important. If someone asks you the value of cos alpha, it will be what? AX by A. The value of cos beta will be AY by A. And the value of cos gamma will be AZ divided by A. This cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma has a specific name. We call them direction cosines. Okay. Now, suppose you need the magnitude of A vector, which is represented like this. It will be root of AX square plus AY square plus AZ square. This is another important formula which we should learn. Another important derivation, we have to prove that cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma is equal to 1. Just you have to submit the values. Cos square alpha means AX by A whole square. Cos square beta means AY by A whole square. And cos square gamma means AZ by A whole square is equal to 1. Simplifying it here, AX square plus AY square plus AZ square divided by A square is equal to 1. And what you can put at the location of A square? The A square itself is AX square plus AY square plus AZ square. It means this LHS is also equal to 1. We have proved that. Done. Another thing can be proved here, that sine square alpha plus sine square beta plus sine square gamma will be equal to 2. Pause the video here and you give it a try. Sine square alpha plus sine square beta plus sine square gamma is equal to 2. Try it yourself. This derivation is pretty simple. At the place of sine square alpha, we can write 1 minus cos square alpha. Similarly, this can be written as 1 minus cos square beta. And this in turn can be written as 1 minus cos square gamma. Getting it? Simplifying it further, this is 3 minus cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma. And we know that this entire bracket has the value 1. So your answer is what? 2. Simple derivation. Note it down. Then we'll be writing few more important points. In few questions, we need the values of these angle made by A vector with the x-axis, angle made by A vector with the y-axis as well as z-axis. So angle made by A vector with the x-axis has been taken as alpha, and the value of alpha can be obtained from here. It is equal to cos inverse of AX by A. Similarly, angle made by A vector with the y-axis is beta, and the value of beta will be equal to cos inverse of AY by A. And the angle made by A vector with the z-axis is taken as gamma. The value of gamma from this calculation is cos inverse of AZ by A. Done. I'll be taking up a question to illustrate all these things. You should note down up to here. Here is the last question of this video. We have a vector, A vector is equal to I cap plus j cap plus k cap. Then we need to obtain the magnitude of A vector, unit vector in the direction of A vector, the sum of direction cosines, the sum of direction sines, and we need to obtain the angle made by A vector with the x, y and z axis. It's a simple one, so I am solving it here on the board. First of all, we need the magnitude of A vector. You remember the formula for the magnitude of A vector? Root of ax square plus ay square plus az square. The x component has the magnitude here as 1, as well as the y component here has the magnitude 1, and z component also has the magnitude 1. So this will be root 3. Pretty simple answer. The next thing is the A cap. You remember the formula of A cap? A cap was A vector divided by the magnitude of A vector. A vector is given to us I cap plus j cap plus k cap, and the magnitude of A vector we have determined right now. It is root 3. The sum of direction cosines, we know the result directly. It is always equal to 1, and the sum of the direction sines, this is always equal to 2. Now we need the angle between A vector and the x, y and the z axis. So angle between A vector and x axis is given as alpha. Alpha has the formula cos inverse of ax by A. So it will be equal to cos inverse of 1 by root 3. The ax is 1, as well as ay is 1, az is also 1. And the magnitude of the A vector, which simply we can write as A only, is equal to root 3. Getting it? Beta is cos inverse of ay by A. Here ay is how much? 1. And A is root 3. Done. The same answer is valid for the z-axis also. This angle gamma is cos inverse of az by A, and we know the values. Done. So it's over from my side. Now you'll be getting a checkpoint, and after that you'll get answers of all the checkpoints. Note it down and take care. Stay awesome.